that everything's going fine. I looked at a CBS News report that was just a couple months ago that said, I'm just reading directly from it right now. It said, despite the sights and sounds of a comeback, 80% of fire survivors remain displaced. 80%. That's not progressing nicely. That's pretty. That is incompetence on a massive scale. There's just no excuse for it. Going further, for those who are trying to rebuild their homes, the process has been marred by insurance industry woes. Insurers aren't just fleeing. Some of those that remain haven't paid up, leaving an estimated 70% of survivors facing delays or denials. That is wild. Speaking of politicians that people have put their faith into, they clearly do not know what they are doing. And at some point, when you say it's just gross incompetence, at some point you got to start asking: do they have any kind of financial stake in helping to create some of these catastrophes? What the heck are they doing? There's no wonder why for a while there were two Republicans that were leading in the governor political race coming up. Because who the heck are you going to vote for? All these people have screwed you repeatedly, time and time again. And that's the same with it goes to big business like the Spirit Airlines JetBlue debacle. This is Merrick Garland in 2023 talking about this merger. Watch.
Today, the Department of Justice filed a civil antitrust lawsuit in the U.S. District Court for the District of Massachusetts to stop the merger of JetBlue and Spirit Airlines. We are joined in that lawsuit by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the State of New York, and the District of Columbia. I'm here with Associate Attorney General Vanita Gupta and Principal Deputy Assistant Attorney General Doha Mekki. Our complaint alleges that JetBlue's proposed $3.8 billion acquisition of Spirit violates Section 7 of the Clayton Act. We allege that if allowed to proceed, this merger will limit choices and drive up ticket prices for passengers across the country.
Limit choices and drive up ticket prices. Now, when you look at comments from people like Elizabeth Warren, or Peter Schiff, everyone is basically saying the same thing. But they also, in the same paragraph, multiple times, reference the Big Four. They're the ones that apparently they say, dominate the industry, and that is where the majority of the focus is. Why were they so worried about Spirit Airlines, JetBlue? Spirit Airlines accounted for 4 to 5% of the market domestically. 4 to 5%. Peter Schiff, and I'm reading from Daily Caller. Peter Schiff replied to Senator Warren's post, saying, quote, Big Four airlines, American, Delta, Southwest, United, control 75% of the U.S. market, adding fewer choices equal higher prices for you. Fewer choices, but you didn't even mention Spirit Airlines and JetBlue. So what the heck are you doing? Going on from Schiff. So why did you block the JetBlue Spirit Airlines merger? He asked. The combined company would have been better competition than JetBlue alone. Now that Spirit is gone, thanks to your intervention.
Hey, what's up?
Pretty wild.
Good, thanks, sorry.
New York Post goes in and just calls it specifically faux populism. And that's exactly what this is. You have a group of people like Senator Warren, who is so in touch with the common man that she even randomly just goes off in the middle of political ads requesting a beer. That's how relatable she is. She just randomly goes off and drinks a beer. That's how, she knows us. She knows us. She also knows us because she's flying first class or private, when the only possible way that some people can fly is to utilize airlines like Spirit Airlines. They don't care. And it makes me wonder. I did a really quick, cursory search to see if any one of them had any kind of financial stake in either or in any of the Big Four airlines. I didn't see one off the top of my just really quick search, but it makes you wonder if there was something else going on there. Makes you wonder. I didn't see evidence to that, but it definitely makes you wonder. But beyond that, it's just faux populism. They are carrying the water for the radical left of their party that's gaining pretty much all the power within their party. And what do they plan on doing going forward? That's another huge question. I'll probably go into that at the top of the hour because there were even more signs to this. I say this every week, and I feel like we dedicate a segment to it about what they're gearing up for. If we don't get our butts in gear, if we don't start passing things right now, we're in a whole lot of trouble. We really are. And I'll show you that coming up probably in about 20 minutes or so. That's some audio from Eric Holder. It's going to blow your mind. But right now, Glenn Beck is on.
Is that what? Would that one copyrighted it? Oh, okay. I thought that one did.
Seventh generation, a powerful.
Oh, it doesn't now? I know sometimes they switch. They go back and forth from it'll copyright it or it doesn't. It depends, I don't know. Oh, I think it's almost kind of like the idea sometimes some movies are free on YouTube and sometimes you gotta pay for them.
How terrible
It depends. I don't know.
That's okay. I'll handle it. Thanks, you.
That's not what I played.
Got the good stuff? Yeah, I got the good stuff.
I am everything that I said I am. Keep my shit tight, man. Motherfucking Hoover Dam. And I ain't cracking anytime soon. My mindset is fine tuned. This where it will be mine soon. Shut down at high noon. Sharp as a harpoon. Crash like a monsoon. Style like a costume. I'm constantly awesome. Voice fresh as spring. Yo, my beats about to blossom. Caution. Get out to bed when I'm moshing. My friends are a high and nice and I got them that way.
We bowls on parade, my bowls full of weed, man. Higher than a pterodactyl, you can call me caveman. California raisin, hear me through the grapevine. Dirty BB blazing, get a bit, I'm feeling just fine. I'll be out in Vegas like if it's just a state line.
I can never stop until I finally feel like I mine.
We're never gonna lay down, we ain't going nowhere.
Come and give a try.
Our bond is our blood and thicker than water, like Goonies never say die. Oh, like Goonies never say oh, like Goonies never say die. You got it?
Keep it cool, right? I'm like an avalanche.
Yeah,
I get
yeah.
stupid when I want to, Rain Man. I keep it flowing now. I do the rain dance.
Man, everybody loves to call me Rain Man. Here I go, I be getting so high like standing on my tippy toes.
Spread my wings and fly, but I got two arms where my wings should go.
Hungry as an animal, tearing down the devil's door.
Always selling me a soul, all the lyrics in my arsenal.
Eyes red, love's full, half left the flagpole.
I'm about to kill this beat and throw it in a drowning pool. Airline style, cool, lyrics fresh, jet fuel.
Always check, no looking back, I'm hippie like a hacky sack. Smoother than a Cadillac, these MCs needing money back. Yeah, that's my shit, but bitch, you know I got the pressure back.
Like the side my temper trap, I'm
Laughing at your pussycat.
I ain't never stop until the top is what I'm looking at. Whenever I lay down, ain't going nowhere. You can come and give a try. Our bond is our blood and thicker than water. Like Goonies never say die. Oh, like Goonies never say oh, like Goonies never say die. Okay, listen up, kiddos.
I'm a shark, you're a minnow. Balls on your chin, call your bitch Jay Leno. Don't go swimming cause your shit sounds menstrual. We ain't here to play like Dr. Dre South Central. Then my bitch, you listen, make a movie to the shit.
To have your body moving,
Marty McFly, anybody home? 2 slips to the dome.
Yeah, I fucking said it was so last year. I got a pack full of gear and a trunk full of beer.
Never gonna lay down.
We ain't going nowhere. You can come and give a try. Our bond is our blood and thicker than water. Like movies never say die. We're never gonna lay down. We ain't going nowhere. You can come and give a try. Our bond is our blood and thicker than water. Like movies never say die. Oh, like Goonies never say oh, like Goonies never say die.
Is being done to make sure this doesn't happen again? Can anything be done?
Well, Glenn, it very much could happen again. I mean, you can count on it happening again. In fact, Hakeem Jeffries and the James Comeys and other prominent figures in the world are promising that the punishment of conservatives will happen if the parties change. And we don't do the opposite. But what I will tell you is that lawyers in this department who violated the rights of Americans, including Brady violations against defendants, refusing to disclose exculpatory evidence in some of these weaponized faith-related cases, they no longer work here. So, yeah, sure, they could reapply in 4 years or 3 years, but their careers would have moved on by then, and frankly, if they want to fight, we have records, but before anyone gets terminated here, there's a record of what they did, and, that'll all be a public record. So, I think that is an improvement. I mean, a lot of people have criticized me on the Hill, and Democrats have criticized me for the fact that 75% of the lawyers in the Civil Rights Division left after I became the Assistant Attorney General. That is absolutely a positive development. For one thing, most of those lawyers were biased, and no one is entitled to a forever job here. What we have now, we're building back up here, is Second Amendment lovers, is people who love liberty, Christians, Jews, people of faith, people of all faiths are welcome here if they are willing to respect the Constitution and commit to the civil rights agenda that's consistent with protecting all Americans, not just the favored few. And back to that weaponization report, this DOJ put out guidance that Christians could not possibly be the victims of religious discrimination because they're the majority. That's ridiculous. That's not what our Constitution says. The Roberts Court, for all of its, flaws, I disagree with some things. The Roberts Court has absolutely, and all the way up to last week's opinion in Louisiana versus Calais, has steered the ship of regarding discrimination back to the center where it belongs.
Let me switch to the SCOTUS ruling on gerrymandering. If I hear one more person say Jim Crow, I think I'm going to lose my mind. I can't even imagine how you feel. What is the effect of this, and are we going after the states? I know you said you're going after enforce in every state that has radically rigged maps. You're going to enforce this. What is the plan? What does it mean?
Okay, so we're formulating what the plan means. I mean, I will tell you that the timing of this ruling is such that, the closer you are to elections happening, the less leeway courts give you to make changes. A lot of these changes have to be made at the political level, and we're seeing that happen. And when I say I'm going to enforce the law throughout the United States, I mean, that's not committing to any particular timeline, because we do have to respect some of these parameters, and we do have to look at the political situation. So where some states, mainly in southern states, but not exclusively, are committing to redistricting, they're going to go through that process, which is a political process, and the Supreme Court has ruled that political gerrymandering is acceptable. And so that's going to be happening throughout the country. Eventually, I think what you're going to see eventually over the next 2, 4, 6 years is there are going to be legal actions, if not by the Department of Justice, by candidates, by partisan entities, just like happened in Louisiana versus Calais. NAACP forced the hand over there. They may be regretting that now, but instead of having one black majority district, they went for broke and went for 2, and now there may be 0. because political gerrymandering
The universe
means
has a
that
way
they can
with
redraw the
impeccable
lines that
timing,
fit
doesn't
the other criteria that are mentioned in the court's Jingles test that talks about
Wait
compactness
for it.
and communities of interest and so forth. And that isn't necessarily race in 2026 in America. I don't believe
Probably
it's
gonna make
race.
some
We have a number
muffins.
of people being elected from both parties' constituencies of all different races in America, and that's a beautiful thing in our country.
So we saw last week our acting
And,
Attorney General go
strawberry
after,
slushies.
Fauci's number 2. I know this
Strawberry
is not your
slushies
area of
go great
expertise,
with blueberry muffins.
but we're just days away from Fauci. I mean, he's already been pardoned, but we can't bring up charges pretty soon. Are all these, I mean, are we moving forward on these things? Harmeet? Are people going to pay a price for anything?
Yummy.
Yeah, look, people are going to
Yeah,
pay a
have some
price.
lemon.
You have to
I can do
understand that the wheels of justice turn a little more slowly in the government than they might in private practice. I certainly have been frustrated by that myself, but
Yummy lemon
when
blueberry.
I think you've seen
Lemon
my boss,
blueberry concert.
Acting Attorney
Yummy.
General Todd Blanche, blanket the news waves this past weekend
Merci,
regarding
blah,
the
blah.
Comey indictment and others. And, what you see in public is just a fraction of the evidence that's out there. And so building these cases takes time. We have had turnover here. We have had weaponized justice in the form of judges who refuse to let some of our cases go forward, and and grand juries that refuse to indict. That's been a challenge, but I'm confident that you are going to see justice. I mean, people wanted to go a lot faster than it has. That isn't my area. And civil rights, I'm very proud to say that in a year we've accomplished a tremendous amount of
Make
justice
that money!
within our areas of expertise. But the U.S. Attorney's offices I'm in touch with. My friends in different U.S. attorneys' offices, they're bringing cases regarding illegal voting. They're bringing cases regarding some of these massive fraud issues. Yes, there are pardons out there that cover a lot of the behavior that frustrate Americans. I think I'd love to see Fauci pay for some of the things that he did and others. And I can't promise you any particular results, but I can tell you that everyone here in this building is extremely dedicated to the president's agenda, certainly in our leadership here, and to getting justice for Americans who are wrong in the last
The
couple of years.
no-look hook shot.
Can you go,
When
let
you
me
do
go
the
back
no-look
to
hook.
the
Yeah,
gerrymandering.
that's impressive.
Can you speak as the person that is running the civil rights division of the DOJ? Can you speak to those people like the
Do
people
it
on the
again.
View that say we're just silencing blacks and minorities, and we're going back to the 1950s or whatever, to the nightmare years.
I'm all shook up.
What would you say to them?
Well, first of all, I'm not sure they would listen, but what I would say to them is, I'm a woman who grew up in the Deep South, and there was the Ku Klux Klan in my county when I was growing up in the 1970s in rural North Carolina, and that was scary. And guess what? It isn't there anymore. It is not mainstream. It is fringe. Our country has come so far. We've had a black president. We have had just so many people of power from all over. Look at Hakeem Jeffries as the minority leader. We have a diverse and beautiful society, and we should be proud of that. We should celebrate it, and we should stop putting our thumb on the scale. It's not fair to all Americans, and it is simply perpetuating a racist history that we should be proud to be able to have moved past in our country. And so I think some of these gerrymandered districts, it has consequences on both sides. What it does is it creates one very liberal district, and then all the other districts become slightly more conservative. That's generally the pattern in a red state or a southern state. And instead, what you're going to have is more competitive districts eventually for everybody. And I think that's actually a really good thing. I frankly, even though, of course, I'm a Republican, I go on Capitol Hill, I testify, speak to members of Congress sometimes, and I despair at the difficulty one has in dislodging any of these people from their positions. Once they get elected, it seems almost impossible to replace them. We could use more change. We could use more fresh blood in politics, and I think all Americans should view this as an opportunity to get some better people elected to Congress.
Harmeet, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Just want to say I wish you were our Attorney General. Just throwing that out there. Not asking you to come out. But thanks. Harmeet Dillon, our assistant Attorney General in charge of the Civil Rights Division. All right, you're at a gas station just off the highway. It's late enough that, the lot is mostly empty, just a couple of cars, nothing out of the ordinary. Car pulls in fast, stops a little too close. Two guys get out, talking low, moving with purpose, looking at you first, and then pretending to ignore you, but they're not ignoring you. You feel, and you're saying to yourself, it's probably nothing. And they start walking your way, not directly, just circling a little, figuring something out. Then one of them comes a little closer, close enough that you don't have to guess anymore. That's the moment. Do I wait? Do I say, oh, you know what, I'm safe here? Or do you pull out your Berna and shift the whole situation? They stop. Whoa, 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 whoa. That's fine. If not, just fire off a round. Just hit it at the ground right in front of them. It's tear gas. That'll stop them. Before whatever could have been happens, you're safe. It gives you distance, control, and a way to stop a threat without escalating to something you just never can take back. It's legal in all 50 states. There's no permit required. Right now, Berna is offering $100 off the Berna LE Gen 2. This is their little compact gun. It's great. Berna, BYRNA.com. Secure yours while supplies last. That's Berna, BYRNA.com.
Dividers can call us names.
Correct. Threat to the world, threat to democracy. Silly greasy pig.
We just call each other neighbor and friend.
Okay, yeah.
We'll be right back.
But that's why. Deny when it's on tape. It's like,
Welcome back, Glenn Beck Insiders into the Torch Insider Show. I saw Harmony Dillon at the event, and she looked absolutely gorgeous at the event, and she had such a cool immigration story as well for her whole family. It was just a really, really cool event. I can't wait for those of you that did not get to watch it live, I can't wait for you to get to watch it live. Let me get to a few of your comments, or not live, sorry, on recording. Let me get to a few of your comments that I missed at the top of the show. Will3352 said, Jason, did you wear sleeveless tux? I did not. I push boundaries little by little and see how far I can do it. I just wore a very flamboyantly colored tux, and so that was my gateway into pushing the limits on the sleeveless tux. That'll be coming. Cav W said, been here 2 days and in the hospital. Oh my gosh, with my husband. He fell off his motorcycle, oof, and slipped on something turning the corner and broke his tibia. Oh, ouch. Clean break. So sorry about that, Cav. Prayers for you and your husband. Sorry to hear about that. Firefly6998. Jason, how does your face feel? I don't. Supposedly this thing's supposed to kick in 2 weeks. I don't know. I'm not seeing a difference as of now. Face feels... Actually, it was still a little bit sore as of over the weekend, but it's getting there, I think. Never again, fam. Tina in Florida said, so all the stuff on Twitter about Iran destroying our ships is all fake. We'll go into more Iran once Glenn gets to it. I'm going to hold it for that once Glenn gets around to Iran updates. But yes, as per CENTCOM, that was just false, fake news. And that was going all over X, right at the top of the show today. That was all people were talking about for a while. But supposedly, as per CENTCOM, that did not happen. They made mention of that multiple different times, and every single time it's been fake. Naughty, this is more recent comments. Naughty said maybe JetBlue can expand and now buy Spirit aircraft at cut price, employ their employees, experienced pilots and ground staff already trained. That's actually a really good comment, because I was just looking up what the heck, because there was not a whole lot of news of what JetBlue was doing, the other portion of that merger. And I looked up this, so I found a few things. So actually JetBlue did do a flurry of moves right after Spirit went down. They offered $99 rescue fees for anyone holding a valid Spirit ticket, which was really cool. That was just the start, though. They are, quote, exploding at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International, adding 11 cities just in Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International, extra flights on existing routes, and pushing nearly 130 daily departures this summer. That's a 75% jump from last year and their biggest Florida operation ever. CEO Joanna Garrity put it plainly, quote, South Florida is a key market. We're stepping up, adding service, and keeping fares competitive. So it sounds like JetBlue is trying to step in and take over for some of that market loss. So we'll see where that goes. We were talking about how this move is just basically a radical, left-wing populist move, and we saw this during the Biden administration a lot. But now a new group of Democrat lawmakers have introduced a bill to raise the federal minimum wage to $25 an hour. I think Glenn might have mentioned this at the top of the show. It's a group of Democratic lawmakers. It's called that have introduced what's called the Living Wage for All Act. They did this on Tuesday, and what it would do is it would gradually raise the federal minimum wage to $25 an hour. Apparently, they want all these businesses to go under. It's absolutely ridiculous. A whole lot more at the top of the hour right now. Glenn Beck is on.
Then that's your position. I want to know what your position is. And then the question was asked about J.D. Vance. And that was
Welcome to the Glenn Beck program. I'm in Florida for a week, and then I'm off overseas. I'm going to be with Tommy Robinson in London next week. I would just ask you a personal favor if you would pray for my team for guidance and spiritual lives. I would greatly appreciate that. Speaking of keeping people in your prayers, Rudy Giuliani. I want to talk about this later, but Rudy is in the hospital, and you can say whatever you want about Rudy, but I think the guy is a national icon. I mean, he was America's mayor, until he got wrapped up with Donald Trump, and then all of a sudden he just became just the worst monster ever. He led an amazing life, and did a lot of things. Keep Rudy Giuliani in your prayers as he is in critical condition, stable but critical condition, here in Florida in a hospital. All right, more in just a second. We're going to take on political violence, Trump being blamed for gas prices, and so much more. All that coming up in just a minute. Stand by.
The interview, what I really wanted to talk about was where we're headed in this war with Iran, okay? And so the JD topic is going to be tough. And she said, do you think that's why it's complicated? Because when JD went to negotiate on behalf of U.S. with Iran, that's gonna, what was the word she used, Rob? You haven't seen the thing. She said, you think that's going to bolt a word about the fact that he's destroyed forever if he runs again? I don't know what the word it was. If you ask it on ChatGPT, she used the word. It's like, I don't know if he's destroyed forever, but it's going to hurt him, something like that. And so, very revealing on what was said there in a big way. Very revealing on JD. You can tell. And then they talk about a third party. And, what would the party be? I don't even know what the left or the right or Democrat or Republican looks like right now. I don't even know what that is. I think it's, but you could tell he's not a Rubio guy. So a part of this, why the market is very, very important to be looking at right now, Vinny, is seeing what's going on going into 2028. Who's going to be TPUSA's candidate? Is that going to have as much weight as it did in 2024? Like Charlie's endorsement of saying, I support this versus a TPUSA's endorsement. Those are two different things. Do you get what I'm saying, Tom? So imagine it's like Charlie Kirk endorses, Trump.
Perry's Farmers Union has everything for your dog or cat. From toys, treats, leashes, and pet health products to all the top names in pet foods. Ask about our frequent buyer programs. You'll find it all at Perry's Farmers Union since 1919.
Need a Jeep? Take it away, Captain. I am on my 5th Jeep with Lee Auto. Jeep is like rock and roll. It is timeless, it is classic, it is iconic. And then I think there's this sense of adventure. It is top down, it is doors off, it is going everywhere you want to go, and maybe some places you're not allowed to go. And so there's a little bit of that rebellion that I love about Jeeps and Jeep Wranglers. So, Jeeps rock. I'm Herb Ivy, and Lee is for me.
I think up until this point, TPUSA is losing the PR campaign. I think TPUSA is losing the PR campaign, and you have to either adjust the strategy, you have to do something differently. But all of this going into 2028, you know, it's an interesting thing. It's an interesting thing with Tucker. And by the way, you know what else could happen? If say there is a slight rift. By the way, and when he asked about Don Jr., he says, look, Don and I, we don't talk politics. We just share common views when it comes down to hunting. It's a great moment. It's like, hey, because you know why I like moments like that? I criticized Tucker in the news a couple of weeks for my position on the guys, because he's been around the block long enough, and we know how it is when things get nasty. I know in politics, you know, when what's happening in politics, it's very nasty. You know why? Because somebody will sit around and call everybody to trash you and use propaganda to undermine you. That is the game here. That happens in every industry, except in politics, it's more, what do you call it? Heavier and stronger than anything else. The only difference is, which puts us in a very unique spot, is we don't need anybody's money. We don't. We don't need anybody's money. We don't. BT doesn't need anybody's money. Thank you. You know, we don't need anybody's money. You know, we sponsorship. How many sponsorship reads him? All he wants to do is sell his shoes. Yeah, you want me to sell my own shoes and make sure I'm beholden to my shoe, boss? Hey, your shoe is ours, because these shoes are from this. You know, oh my God, all he does is Manek. What do you want me to promote? So I'm beholden to ourselves. But we're risking our own money, right? So that's the part where long term, there's going to be some interesting moves taking place. And by the way, for those guys that are doing the survey, I'm looking at the number right now, which I freaking love. 300 and exact 17 of you have already done the survey in the first 30-40 minutes of us announcing this. Those of you guys that go a little bit more thorough in the questions that we ask, that unpack, explain, we may call you because we want to talk to you and go a little bit deeper into it. Again, anybody that goes and does a survey, $25 gift card goes to vtmerch.com to go purchase whatever you want, and you'll be able to use $25 towards it. So going back to this conversation, I think this is all great going into 2028. I think you have to pay very close attention on what alliances are being created. I like the fact that this interview was done. I'm glad he agreed to do this interview because it kind of was like an opening on who's supporting who, who's going to be working with who. And by the way, what's the month right now? What are we, May 4th? Yeah. May 4th, which, you know, we celebrated Vinny's birthday, Mario's birthday, and Danny's birthday, and a bunch of other people's
And today's
birthday.
my grandma's birthday. I know everybody's
Really?
94.
Today's your grandma's birthday, so happy birthday to you.
Grandma.
But this is all going because 2027, 2020 election is going to come like this.
I just want to ask you a question. Something you said, talked about credibility, and obviously this is Tucker's credibility score on screen right now. I think there's a credibility problem. But I want to ask you something. You said something about if you're going to say something, own it. So you just said that you had a call with the TPUSA people, Turning Point.
Yes.
You made some comments about Erica being CEO. You just said, yeah, that's what I said. You know, you were asked, I think, with John Kiriakou or whatever about Reza Pahlavi. You're like, yeah, I said that. Straight up. Yeah, Ron DeSantis. Yeah, I said that. Do you ever recall something that you said, you're like, nah, I never said that? Like, why would someone do that?
Someone asked if they were just being sarcastic.
If you forget, great, hold me accountable. I said, okay, great.
Oh,
yeah,
really? Get them going.
I don't recall that, but I don't want to play the game up because I'm so, what do you call it, righteous.
Looking
and
at the
make mistakes like
positions
that.
and characters,
I know,
that's
but what I
possible.
am saying is, I have had my opinions change on this shit.
I
where I'm
don't
like,
burn my brain
that's
too much
interesting,
or
what they're
put
saying.
too
You know
much
what,
weight
that's
in
when
any
it comes
kind of
up to
opinion there.
crony capitalism on
No,
what
just try to
happens
call
with
it for what
these
it
other
is
guys,
and
because
hope that people
some of these
address
guys
the
that are
facts
making
and
it harder for a
concerns.
smaller guy to compete. I'm not with that. I don't want this.
But the
smaller
drama,
guy.
I mean,
We had a
it's
guy
so
that
hard
did-
to not,
a person that came here to
you know,
us
chomp at
last
the
week on
bits
Business
there.
Wednesday, and
I
he was
know, especially
fully
when you
supportive of
can.
NATO in a massive way. And I've had a conversation with 3 different people that I don't agree with everything they say. Susan Kokinda, one of the
The
best
can
conversations.
man.
She gave a completely
And he
different angle. I never
mixes
thought
it
about it. I
with-
was like, very interesting. Who has been at this intelligence business longer than anybody else? MI6, the Brits. These guys are the professionals. They train everybody. They train Mossad. They train CIA. They trained, you know, Iran Sabah. Sabah was trained by MI6. And now you want, yeah. So she gave that angle. And then we had the Robert Pape, which is going to come out. And he says Trump's losing. So that angle, and then we have the Asian guy, the guy, the Jian,
Professor.
the Jian guy, and then I had the who's the governor from Maryland that's running Westmore conversation, great conversation. That's gonna, I think this is good, but what you have to realize, like the market, for instance, Vivek. If you looked at the numbers a year ago, Vivek was supposed to be the governor of Ohio, right? And now people can say a lot of different things. So, well, it's the H-1B visa tweet that happened. That was a falling out. That's why he left Doge. And I think he was going to run for governor no matter what. Okay. No, it's the video clip of what he said about Christians and how he defined Christians and Jesus and all that other stuff. And you know, and now you look at the numbers from 75% to 60% to 50% to now the Democratic Party more likely to win Ohio than the Republican Party. Republican Party is Vivek. And look, I'm rooting for Vivek to win because the last 8 presidents, according to what Tom just said right before the podcast, and Rob, if you can validate this, the last 8 presidents that became presidents, they won Ohio. Trust me, you want Vivek to win. But, you know, the question becomes, how do you look at that, Rob?
Rob, I sent you the link to the chart. You have it. There it is. Except 2020, since 1980, Ohio elects the president.
Tom, since that's even more than 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. Out of the last 12 presidential winners, 11 out of 12, we won Ohio. You lose Ohio, you lose the presidency. 88% chance.
We all know
90% chance.
I think there's been a discussion or two about 2020.
Yeah. So exactly. That's a good point. So the 2020 is the one that could be the wild card. So essentially, some could even say it's 12 out of 12. So to me, Vivek made this comment that's been circulating recently. Rob, if you want to play this clip, and I have my thoughts on this. Here's Vivek explaining Jesus Christ. Okay, who he is.
So, to be very honest, not a murder question. So, in our faith tradition, Jesus Christ is a Son of God. I know that is different than saying he's the Son of God, but that is my view of Jesus Christ. He's got our family. Do we worship in churches? Yes, we do. Is that compatible with our faith? Yes, it is. One true God in many forms. So that's different, and I understand that.
It's the only way to heaven is through Jesus Christ.
I think that is the path. That is a path to heaven is the way to look at it. But belief in God is what we say. Belief in the one true God. That's the way I look
By
at it.
the way, this isn't recent. He said this a while ago. Rob, when did he actually say this? This could have even been a year and a half ago. This could have been a year ago, maybe even 2 years ago. When we had him at our town hall, remember when one of the guys got up?
There was a lady that asked him.
The lady got up and said, "What's your position with Jesus and what's your position with?" And he gave that answer very eloquently. And guess what? You know what I liked about Vivek? He gave his answer September 20. By the way, that was almost 3 years ago from what he said in Iowa. Okay, so you know that's what he believes in. You know that's what he believes in. He gave that answer where he's at. Now the question becomes, is that going to hurt his chances of winning governor for the state of Ohio? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen there. I don't know if this is the reason why he's not going to get elected. I will tell you, if you have to choose a Vivek, smart guy, sharp guy, who is one of those fighters, tough guys, brilliant guy. I think sometimes his challenge is, you know what's Vivek's challenge is sometimes? He is so smart and brilliant that the average person that listens to him, you feel dumb sometimes. You know, when he speaks, you're like, oh my God, this guy wrote a thesis on that issue that happened, right? Where Trump speaks, you know what you feel like when Trump speaks?
One of the boys is talking.
It's like, hey, it's just one of me. I'm just talking to a regular guy.
The blue-collar billionaire.
That's right. So the blue-collar bill. So, you know, I think it's too late to make these types of adjustments anyways, but the market is going to react. And where Ohio goes is where presidency goes. So if Republicans are sitting there saying, but let me tell you, Vivek this, but let me tell you, Vivek that. But let me tell you, Ohio loses, Newsom's your president. Flat out.
Well, wake up, Ohio.
Ohio loses, Newsom is your president. And by the way, you may want that. You may want that. You may be saying, that's exactly what I want. I want Republicans to lose and Democrats to win for them to learn how much power we got. Maybe. And maybe that's your position. I can tell you what happens if these guys take over. Have you been seeing what's going on to New York? Have you been watching what's going on in Texas?
I would love to see Vivek do a debate against Mamdani. I would love that.
Well, that's not going to happen. But Tom, your thoughts on this with, as a Christian man yourself, here's a guy's given his position. How do you process it?
So I'm familiar with faiths, and I don't I don't dive into a deep analysis of it. He's Hindu. Hindu believes that there's one big creator God and does not believe that Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but through me. That's the Christian point of view. So it doesn't surprise me. So on one side I say, hey, he's Hindu and he's not trying to hedge his bet. You know what I mean, Vinny? If he was trying to say, well, I'm Hindu, but he was trying to spin into the Christian, I would say, dude, wait a minute. You're Hindu. You believe in one God. So don't tell me that you're trying to do this. I think he was being straight up about his feelings. With
Right,
that
when you
guy,
ask a lot of
whether it was
Americans
2 years ago or 3 years ago,
that were brought
now,
up in
the
families,
problem
there's
is,
different
what Pat, you
faiths,
just
like
said, I think is
being
exactly
Catholic
the
or
next problem.
something.
When
Many
you
don't really claim to
overanalyze
any of it, or
Americans, well,
change
American kids are playing
religions,
football
and
and doing
then
this and that, while
one might
other
be,
kids are
oh,
getting
they're
kids are studying
Catholic,
math, they're in math
right,
clubs.
because their
He
parents
touched
and
a red
grandparents
line
and the
there.
history
The red
there.
line was, you kind of went after Americana,
No, I'm not.
kind of accidentally by overanalyzing.
What does that even
And
mean?
so,
I don't even think they
as a
knew what
man
it
of
meant.
faith,
What are you talking
I
about?
appreciate that he's a man of faith.
Get away
I
from
don't
me, you
agree with
judgmental evil
Hinduism,
person.
I believe he's been
I know, we just
presenting
joke
it
around. But you get the
authentically
point,
for his
though,
point
right?
of view, and I don't think he's
Yeah, I mean,
so
it just
wasn't
happens.
offended by
It's,
that.
what do they call that? Like
Yeah, no,
generational
but-
rifts kind of a thing? I don't know. I don't think I used the proper terminology there. I was looking for another one, but
Watched every one of the debates.
you get the general idea. Good.
You know,
That's the idea.
This Cinco de Mayo, all you need is guac.
agree with. Does he have to make some adjustments on messaging and all that stuff? Yes. Is he kind of being authentic and straight up by giving you what he believes in? I think so. You want to lose this guy? I don't know. And I don't know. I would much rather have him as one of the guys. He would not even be a team of rival. Vinny, what do you have with this? What do you think?
I love how you guys broke it down. I mean, I personally don't like, me and Humberto we talked about this. This is a Christian nation. To me, to be the president, you'd have to be Christian. That's why I always said, by the way, all respect for him. He's freaking awesome. I love being around him. I love the way he speaks so eloquently. But at the end of the day, Christian nation, I want a Christian president. I know sometimes we haven't got them. Obama, possibly Trump, whatever. That aside,
What does that mean?
you guys made a good point.
When the
Just
children
in that moment,
asks,
we
what
gotta
does
just say,
that
no,
mean?
listen,
Am
I'm
I a
Hindu.
Christian?
We
What
have
does
a
that
different
mean?
belief,
I thought I was a
but-
human being.
but
Hold on.
I'm not going to try to
What does that mean,
hinder
Christian
anything that's already
nation?
happening
No,
in the
really.
nation.
And if you're
I'm
gonna
not
go
gonna
by
follow
what-
policies, I'm not gonna do anything, I'm not gonna do
I mean,
what-
you've
like,
gotten
like,
some of the
we
answers
about the
these
Hindus,
things give you. It
compared to
seems
what
very
Islam,
politically
what
driven.
Mamdani is doing outside prayer,
Let's see what
forcing
it
stuff
says.
on people. I would have just said that. I'm not going to try to change anything, but this is a bigger picture that
Do you
we have to
believe
look
in
at.
Christ our Lord?
Hopefully he'll become the governor. This is a bigger fight. He loses, we lose the presidency.
Like the story
That's a
of
whole
Jesus,
different
the
situation. At least he's
lessons
being honest and he's saying
that were
thank you
being
guys
brought
for doing that.
forth, like the boy who cried wolf, or like what do you mean?
What he was here for and what he did, and he saved us. But I really hope that people could say, okay, he's
Being a
Hindu,
Christian
not trying
means
to
following
change
Jesus
anything.
Christ,
We need him to win.
trusting
Instead of a
him
Democrat.
for salvation.
When we
Okay,
fight over
who?
faith, guess
Who?
what? We forget about who's the best candidate for jobs, education, welfare,
And
immigration,
surrendering
economy,
to his
interest rates.
lordship.
He wins 6-0 on just
Okay.
that list. Activist versus Amy Acton.
Follow.
And
You
here,
know, I was taught to be a
we're about
leader, not a
elect,
follower.
you know,
Hold on.
another,
Trusting
Democratic
him for
socialist
salvation.
so
I was
it's
taught
like,
to put trust
maybe
in
if they get us
myself.
fighting
Like that's
over
the whole
Vivek
purpose in the
and his
education I
stance,
thought of God
they're
our
the ones that
Father
are laughing.
was to
Yeah,
teach
exactly.
us you have
I think
to
Vivek is great.
wash your own
I think,
hands, and then for like a parent to understand that the baby can't wash its own
I
hands.
think I said that to his face.
And it has to be taught how to do that, and this is a continued process. It's not like, okay, someone did it once, now we don't got to do it anymore, and everyone should know that that's how you do it. And what's the matter with this baby? Why?
Center of society or society.
Humanity has already learned this. Why do I got to do this? Right. It's when you get really stupid with it, right? Wake up. I don't know. And surrendering to his lordship. Surrender to what? What do you mean surrender? Like get on my knees? Just let it go? Surrender?
Which, I mean, I'll circle back.
I don't know. I mean, it's just really stupid when people just put out these blanket statements and surrender this, follow that, trust. Okay, so we have a follow in this, trust in that, and surrender to what? Yeah, no one ever explains the what. You know, it's just kind of like
and owning it. Not saying that I never.
Do you want them to keep putting the money in the basket?
I never. He owned.
Do you want them to keep
And that's what
putting the
ultimately
money
comes
in the
down to
basket?
credibility. You might not have believed or agree with what he says. The balls and the courage to say yes, I said that. I have
What
a
happens if
major
I say
issue with
no?
people who say, "I've never
Because
said
I don't
that."
think
And back
that's
to what you
right.
said, Pat. You said
Well, I mean,
opinions
sometimes
change.
it is.
You said, maybe
I mean,
I'll
if they want
adjust
to,
my
right? It
views
makes
on
them
both
happy.
capitalism,
It
what
makes
have
them feel like they're
Of
giving
course,
to a
as you
charitable
should.
cause.
Because you're
And sometimes it's
you
going to
use
a
your
good
brain,
cause.
And you say, you know what, my
This
opinion
is so
changed.
confusing.
Can you imagine me saying at this point, no, I never voted for Biden. I never, that wasn't me. It's like, buddy, we have you on film saying you voted for Biden. But me, like, that's the biggest problem.
And hold on, even whether it's right or wrong, if I say no,
to change your opinion, at least
bad
give
for
people
me.
the response of this is why I changed my
If
opinion.
I say
But don't flip the
yes,
script and
oh,
act
welcome
like
to the club.
But you said there's no.
Can
you
you
said it's like, I'm
speak
sorry, there's no way
right?
a brown Hindu guy
Don't
would-
swear.
I mean,
Just
Barack
wear a
said they're
cross.
like
Speak
Muslim,
nicely.
and
Don't
he won
offend
the
anybody.
presidency.
No, don't talk about.
I don't like what you're doing.
Don't talk about politics, religion, this, that. Well, hold on, but we're telling them to vote for this. You got to vote for somebody. You have to vote, and if you don't vote, you're not an American.
Guess what?
You shouldn't. You don't even deserve to be here. You don't deserve to complain or have an opinion. Hold on here. I'm getting really confused about your fucking Christian lordship here. You know what you can do? You can take that cross you're wearing, and you can fucking dig your eyes out with it. Or, in fact, maybe dig my eyes out with it so I don't have to continue to witness the fucking horror and children being fucked and tortured while you fucking pigs wear your crosses and act like good people. Too much? Or? Alright, anyways, much love, health, and peace all. I really, really hope the proper authorities here in Augusta, Maine do what they're supposed to do to help our children. Father, Mother, God,
Who am I talking about?
we hope and pray.
No, this is the guy that they're saying is going to
That's why we pray. Ooh.